Well, today we're speaking with Rudy Kutcher. He worked at the Empire Mine, and we'll just start by asking, what was your job at the Empire, Rudy?
I drove a mule. I was a mule skinner.
Mule skinner. And did you work at any particular part in the mine? Certain level or?
Yeah. Trying to think of the level.
Well, I have down here
5400s, I think.
the 5400.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We went down 4,600 feet, then we walked underground for almost a mile. Then we went on down to 8,000.
My goodness. Could you tell me, just go through what your daily routine was from the time you'd get up to go to work, about what time you'd get up, and then what you'd do as soon as you got to the mine?
Yeah, I'd get to the mine. We had a special parking place for our cars out on one side of the. I think it's all gone up there now, but there was sheds where cars were under cover. They were not in the sunshine in the summer or the rain and snow in the winter. And we just walked through a little gate and get down to where the people that worked at the bottom on the 8,000 foot level went down first. And we got paid what they called from collar to collar, from the time you left the top to the time you came back, because you spent almost an hour and a half traveling time to get down that deep.
My goodness, yeah, yeah. That's amazing. And so what did you do when you got to your place of work? The mules were kept down there all the time, correct?
They stayed there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I had a mule, her name was Babe, and if I wasn't there, they really had a time, because it was weird the way the guy that taught me was a guy by the name of Jimmy Manier. He went to work in a defense plant in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And Slim Hampton, the superintendent up there, I was working there as a bunker, shoveling the ore in the cars.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "How'd you like to go drive a mule?" Well, that was a lot easier.
Uh-huh.
And it was more pay.
Well, good.
So I got another 25 cents an hour.
Well, very good.
Because the pay was only $4 and something a day,
Mm-hmm.
The muckers, they got 25 cents more, and the miners, the ones that did the drilling, they got a little bit more. And the timbermen, they got $6 a day. That was the most dangerous job,
I see.
because they had to get the timbers under the rocks. And the ones that got killed when they had a cave in, and they would bar down the loose stuff, and sometime a whole section would turn loose, and they were underneath. Why, it could kill quite a few people.
Oh my.
It was really dangerous.
Yeah.
So, the first thing I did when I got down there, I took my mule out of the barn, which was just a big cave,
Mm-hmm.
and I stood behind the mule and held the collar up, and I said, "Babe, turn around, babe, turn around." She'd look at me, she'd turn around and walk right out, not put the collar on. But if I wasn't there, somebody'd go in and try to put the collar on her. Boy, they had a rodeo. She would push them against the side and pin them there, and then they couldn't get out.
She was a one-man mule. Huh?
Yeah. And they'd take the carbide light, and the shift boss, when he'd come down, he'd have to walk around the mule in the tunnel in the drift, because I went back in there for a mile. I had 6 places that I drew ore out of way back, and it was just a little upgrade going in. Coming out, you had to ride a brake. There was 7 cars, and I'd ride in the first car with my carbide light so the mule could see, because, boy, we didn't have battery lights then. Now they got batteries. And
Oh, so the mule pulled 7 cars.
7 cars, yeah.
Wow.
And the first thing I had to do was get there. I had a big grease gun. I had a grease. They were straight axle. Some of the levels they had ball bearing cars, but down on that level we didn't have ball bearing. And if I didn't grease the cars, the mule would go about 3 feet and stop and look at me. It was too hard to pull, you know.
Oh, well.
And if somebody else took my place, if I was sick, and they didn't know that, you know, that you had to grease all the cars every morning. They had a heck of a time because they couldn't get the mule to do anything. First of all, they couldn't get it out of the barn because it wouldn't turn around and walk out, and they didn't know what they were supposed to do.
Wow, isn't that something?
Those mules were pretty smart, because coming out, it's a little downhill grade, and the second car back had a brake on it. And I'd ride the brake, and when I got to the place where I drew the ore out, I'd just say, "Babe, stop," and she'd just stop. And I'd draw out one carload. I'd say, "Babe, 1 car." She'd move up 1 car. And when the cars were all full, I'd say, "Babe, station." She wouldn't stop anymore. She'd go on out.
Wow. That's fantastic.
They were pretty smart.
Yes. Was she the only mule that you worked with? in
Yeah.
Mine?
Yeah. Each level had, so every 400 feet there's a level.
Oh, wow.
And they had 1 mule at every level. Of course, you know, they worked 3 shifts. They had a day shift, night shift, and then they had another shift that's for some of the timbermen went in.
Now, did you work different shifts?
Yeah. They changed every week. 1 week day shift, 1 week night shift.
What was your favorite part of your job?
Well, I enjoyed riding back and forth on that train with the mule.
Oh, you got to ride, huh? You didn't have to walk.
No,
Oh, good.
no, the second car back, you sat in the car
Oh,
with your carbide light so the mule could see, because
very.
otherwise it was pitch black.
Uh-huh.
And the mule couldn't see. And every so many hours, you had a candle in your pocket. You took a candle and you lit it, because when that light went out, you were in the dark. So you had to have this candle lit to put new carbide in your carbide light, clean it so that you could light it again. And
Well,
if you didn't have that candle, you were in trouble.
I bet. I've heard, I don't know how true this is, but did the mules ever go blind because of the lack of light down there?
No,
Oh, good.
they had electric light in their barn.
Oh,
There was a, I think it was a 25 watt light bulb. Well, there was 2 of them, so that one burned out. There was another one there, so it never was pitch black.
Oh, good. Was there anything about Babe that, well, you said she was very intelligent, and she could be ornery too, I guess, when she had another minor that had to work in
Yeah.
your place. But was there anything exceptional, about her? Um,
I used to take an orange or an apple down to in my lunch box every day. And when I had my lunch and I sat down and ate, I would give her an apple or an orange or.
oh, that's great. Did you see many rats down in the
Oh
mine?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There
Did-
wasn't very many down on that lower level.
Mm-hmm.
They were up in the upper level, but there was rats down there.
Mm-hmm. Did they bother Babe at all? Did it spook
No.
her? No. Did the donkeys whinny or bray very much? Were they very vocal if they got upset about something or anxious or excited?
No, I never heard anything out of my mule.
Well, yeah. Well, that's great. Now, you called her a she, so what is I know that mules are sterile. What and a female mule is a hinny. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did the female mules work better than the Johns or the male mules?
I don't know.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I only had my mule.
I see. I was just curious about that because I have heard that the hinnies are much better as riding mules. So I don't know. I just thought maybe they're more intelligent.
Like dogs. Dogs feel
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes. How long did you work at the Empire?
2 years.
2 years? Mm-hmm.
See, my dad came from Yugoslavia,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
and when he was 14 years old, he went to work in a coal mine in Yugoslavia.
Oh.
So he figured it was time for me to go to work.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I helped him. He had a claim down by Auburn. There was a mine down there called the Two Orphan Mine, and he was working on this claim,
Mm-hmm.
and I helped him. I run a hoist for him down there, and then I decided to go to. Well, he thought it was time for me to go to work, and because I started paying room and board at home. I was living at home.
Oh, uh-huh. How old were you then?
Well, I quit high school and only went to first grade, first year.
Oh, uh-huh.
Uh,
So you only went through your sophomore year,
yeah,
or freshman, I should say.
I never did went to the first lower grades, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Because those Yugoslavians figured it was time for you to go to work, because he went to work when he was 14.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. When your day was through at the mine, what did you do then? How did you put Babe back? What did you feed her and
yeah,
and
they had one guy go around, and that's his job, just to clean the stalls and make sure that they had feed.
mm-hmm.
But I always threw in feed when I left, if there wasn't any in there. When I put her back in her barn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then when you came back up to the collar, did they have any type of procedure you had to go through so the mine operators and owners could make sure you weren't high grading anything?
See, those lower levels, there was no high grade.
Oh,
The ore run like $6 a ton for every ton of quartz. There only $6, so you can imagine how low grade that was.
oh yes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be worth your
No.
time or trouble. Right, right.
The upper levels, yeah.
Mhm.
They had what they call a double dry. You went into one room and you took your clothes off, and then you walked through without any clothes, and you picked up your street clothes, and you took a shower
Mhm.
before you went home.
Oh. Mhm. Mhm.
And you put your buckets down. When you came up, there was a place, and they opened them all up and checked them,
Mhm.
even to the guys on a lower level. But
Oh wow.
it was, we never had anything. There was never anything to take out.
Mhm.
But I had friends that worked on the upper levels. It's, they'd have a brand new car every year, and they didn't make it that much money.
Oh my.
Of course, you bought a car at that time for $1,000,
Yeah.
brand new automobile.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, well, they were still finding ways to get it out then, huh? Rudy, when did the mules give way to the electric cars? What year was that? Do you know? I know it was probably after you left the mine,
Yeah.
but
Because as soon as they hit Pearl Harbor, you know, the mines closed down.
mm-hmm.
They were an essential industry, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess they didn't even have a chance to go to electric. And well, I know that the Empire did stay open until the 50s, but that was probably to contract work,
Yeah,
wasn't it? Mm-hmm.
they call them leasers. They lease out certain sections.
Uh-huh.
But when I came out back, I went down and joined the Marines right away.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came back from the war away, I stayed in Sacramento. I didn't want to go back in a mine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were all closed, and it was just the leases that they were running
Mm-hmm.
after the war.
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed. How long were we in Sacramento? 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you can think of that would interest the general public? I know we have a lot of interested people out there that want to know of your experiences. And do you remember any of the miners' names that you worked with?
well, the guy that I replaced, that went to work in the defense plant, his name was, he was a Mormon. I know he was real tall, because he had trouble walking down those drifts,
Oh.
bumping his head, you know.
Uh-huh.
Those are just open enough for the mules to go through,
Uh-huh.
and for the cars.
Uh-huh.
Anybody that was over 6 feet tall.
They had a permanent stoop by the time they
Yeah,
did. Yeah,
that's right.
yeah. Well, that's great. Can you think of anything you want to ask him?
Not really.
Okay. Well, I guess that'll do it. I thank you so much.
Oh, you're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
Yes, it's very, very interesting.